I appreciate everybody jumping in this morning and being part of our community. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Jump into our presentation. So you're at 1 million cups. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're here, and I know that we're not meeting in person. Of course, right now we're meeting virtually, but it's every Wednesday at 9 a.m. And we do have a couple of dates coming up here in December that we're not going to be doing because of the holiday break, which I'll touch base on a little bit later, just as a reminder at the end at the meeting, so everybody remembers that. But there we go. We're going to have, and this will pop up in the chat, our link tree. This link tree is a link to all the other links that, everything that you need to know about 1 million cups. There's lots of resources in there, and you can sign up for emails or reminders, and it has our meeting link if that's not in your calendar. So what is 1 million cups? And I think we have a lot of people that have been part of our community, so a lot of you may know this already, but we're all about supporting the entrepreneurial community, and the entrepreneurs can receive help and connections. Really, we're about promoting entrepreneurship and making it as easy as possible and fun too. So where we're different from some other organizations is this is not a pitch. We're not having people come in and asking for money or funding or customers. Really, we're here to help them by sharing our ideas and our experience. We want it to be very inclusive and involve anybody, no matter where you are on your entrepreneurial journey. So this is a national organization. This is a Seattle chapter, and we're one of 2 chapters in Washington State, but there are 130 some communities all over the United States, thousands of members, and hundreds of volunteers, just like the people that you'll be meeting today, the organizers. We're all about providing education and connections, community, and these presentations, which you'll get to see one a little bit later. We couldn't do without our sponsors and that help us with supporting systems. That's McLaughlin Method and Method Customization. So thank you very much for that support. And thank you to our organizers. This is a volunteer member-led community. So these are all people that jump in and volunteer their time to keep things moving. And if you're interested in being an organizer, please let us know. You can just shoot us an email, even in the chat today if you're interested, or shoot us an email a little bit later if you'd like to be an organizer, or if there's something that you can do to help the community, just a volunteer or a specific task. We love to get everybody involved as much as possible. So today we're going to, we just had our kind of coffee and conversations for a few minutes at the beginning, and then we're going to go into a 6-minute presentation by Connor, and then after that we're going to get some time to do Q&A. So really the presentation is going to be quick, but then there's going to be some opportunity for us to ask some questions and share experience. And then after that, we're going to have some time to connect again with some breakout rooms. So we'll have some breakout rooms available if you want to stick around after our Q&A and get some time to talk to the community. I think there's a lot of value in that. I find a lot of interesting conversations happen right afterwards. So during the presentation, remember that we want to get something out of it. Everybody gets something out of this presentation, but also provide some value back to Connor. So limit your distractions. Think about, be curious. Think about what you'd like to learn more about. And remember to speak from experience. and try not to shit all over anybody. We're not here to say, hey, this is what you need to do, or feel like Connor needs to take our advice. We're here just to provide some insight and gain some more experience around what he's all about. So with that, we're gonna, in just a moment, I'm gonna turn it over to Connor for him to present. If at the end of the presentation, if you're interested in asking a question or providing an experience share around something that you think is relevant, then just use that reactions button on the Zoom to raise your hand, and then I'll be calling on people one at a time and we can kind of go through that. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. And Connor, if you're all set, you can go ahead and share your screen. We'll jump into your presentation.
Sure, sounds good. Well, first, I just want to say thank you guys all for being here this morning. It means a lot to me, and just being able to hear your feedback and all that good stuff. So my name is Connor Chase. I'm based here in Provo, Utah. I just moved here from Florida a couple months ago. So I just graduated college and I got my first job out of college here. So bit of a culture shock, and it's a little cold also. So while I'm freezing this morning, I'll tell you about a project that I've been working on called Zenbase. And yeah, I'll get started now. So there's a mental health crisis going on. 1 in 4 people suffer from some sort of mental health disorder. And in addition, there's 1.4 million people who attempt suicide every year, including someone in my own family. So it's kind of personal. Meditation, we know from a scientific standpoint that it helps. We don't know how. It's left the scientific community stumped. But in addition, we found out that people in a meditative state of mind are also 400% more creative and better problem solvers. Now, big meditation is what I like to call big meditation companies. They are making it increasingly hard to reach this state of mind through high subscription costs, topping $400 a year, deceptive advertising, or in other words, they're making promises that they know they can't keep. And lastly, they just have a huge catalog full of boring guided meditations that leave no room for progression in their practice. So the solution to all 3 of these problem points is Zenbase. So how it works is spend 5 minutes listening to content on the platform. For right now, it's sounds, but eventually we'll be expanding to wellness activities and stuff like that, such as yoga, Tai Chi, maybe even some painting. Meditation means a lot of things to different people. Then you earn Zen token as you engage with the content in the platform. And lastly, you can redeem your Zen token for a premium subscription, wellness products, gift cards, or you can even trade it for other cryptocurrencies in the future. So what is Zen token good for? Well, like I mentioned, you can trade in that Zen token for a premium subscription. In the future, as we expand our marketplace, we'll have a tipping system so listeners can support their favorite artists, and also some digital goods and wellness products. And for sound producers, more upload time to the platform, boosting and mastering services so they can create that perfect sound. And how a Zen token is distributed whenever someone listens is 70% of the Zen token that's generated goes to the listeners, and then 30% goes to the sound producers to keep them incentivized to produce more high quality content to the platform. So that's kind of how it's divvied up. So we are a wellness experience that leverages cryptocurrency rewards through something we like to call meditation mining. So why this will work? Crypto curiosity, it's at an all-time high. Coinbase launched Coinbase Earn back in 2018. And since then, it's been the North Star of their marketing campaign. And so far, it's dished out 100 million, well, more than that in free crypto to its more than 43 million users. Also, we have companies like Brave who are using crypto rewards models. and they just hit a monthly a milestone of 36 million monthly active users. And lastly, as all of you might be aware, crypto is rapidly growing in popularity, and it's being adopted almost at the same rate as the internet was. So there are 300 million people who hold crypto or have bought or purchased crypto in some fashion worldwide. And in addition, there's 200 to 500 million people who practice meditation. So this target market is huge, and we're going to be the ones to capture this market. And we're already gaining, traction at a pretty fast pace with 150 plus alpha users and early adopters. So it's a good idea, but how do we make money? That's what we're here for. So we actually make money in two ways. We have ads in the beginning of the meditation sessions. We don't want to put them in the middle, like YouTube, or like at the end, because we don't want to disrupt their meditation. So always in the beginning, and users have the option to view how many ads they want, and they get Zen token for listening to ads. Then we have our store where they can buy a premium subscription. And like I said, as we expand that marketplace, there will be stuff they can buy. So these are just some early projections. We anticipate 4 cents per ad view or click, and then we think that we'll have around a 5% subscription rate. Now, this is in comparison to Insight Timer, who has the largest free meditation app in the world right now. And so far, they've only been able to convert less than 1% of their users over to a premium subscription. Now, why we think that we'll have a 5% subscription rate is just because of the interest cryptocurrencies are generating. And as part of our premium subscription, we heavily focus on that crypto concentration. So yeah, and this is the team. I'm Connor. I'm a UI UX designer. So for those of you who don't know what that is, I love designing apps and websites. And I'm a big product guy. And then my co-founder, Jesse, he's a cryptocurrency analyst, a yoga instructor. He got his certification out in India. And yeah, he's a very smart guy. He's a very Zen dude. And the team is just growing every day. I'm going to skip that slide. So some plans for next year. In Q1, we're going to launch our iOS app. It's looking more like December, so be on the lookout for that. In Q2 of 2022, we want to expand that catalog to include wellness activities, like I mentioned, yoga and Tai Chi and stuff like that. And then, as we accrue more support, more capital, we'll have the means of being SEC compliant, which just means that we'll be able to convert Zen token as a in-app digital currency. We'll be able to transmute that to a real currency, cryptocurrency that will be on the open exchange market. And from that point, we can sell it. And then lastly, we just want to launch version 2 of Zenbase. So those are our plans. And this is where you can find out more about us. So excited to hear you guys' feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Connor. I had, yeah, it was a great presentation. Yeah, we'll give that some applause. Thank you. I had, and now if you guys want to raise your hand, for some reason I had, your voice sounded very low volume to me. Maybe it's just my settings, Connor, but I don't know if anybody else experienced that.
It came okay over here.
Oh, okay, good. Maybe it was just my volume is connection. There we go. Sometimes it does that. Sometimes it gets low. All right. So with that, Connor, go ahead and you could stop sharing your screen. We'll go back to the gallery view there. And it looks like Sarah has a question. Sarah, go ahead and take yourself off mute and there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Ah, good. So it's been a bit slow. So I just want to start by saying that's a really great presentation, and I had a look at your website and it's beautiful. So when you said you were in UI UX, I was like, that makes sense because it's a beautiful website. My question is, who, and I'll explain why as well. So my question is, who is your ideal customer? And the reason I'm asking that is because you talk about the market for meditation and you talk about the market for crypto. And that made me think that your customers are probably the people who sit in the middle of that Venn diagram. And then it got me to thinking, who is that? You know, what do they look like? Who are they?
Right, that's a great question. It's something we've been struggling with, trying to pinpoint, just because it is such a huge target market. Like you said, they're going to be somewhere in the middle of that Venn diagram. Our plan to kind of figure that question out is to run experiment with like A/B testing on ads and see which ones perform the best. So hopefully I can get back to you on that.
Sure, that sounds like a good idea.
Well, thank you. Katie, you have your hand raised as well.
Cool. Well, Connor, I feel like you like really drew us in with those stats about meditation. Having 2 weeks ago, I had another mental health service. It was cool to see very different stats and different presentation around the value of meditation, which was cool. I wanted to ask some questions or just ask like a general-ish question about your business model, because I think it's fascinating, but I've also never heard of anything like this. Now, I'm not, an expert in any of the fields or whatever, but I'm just curious, what made you decide to go down this route of crypto ads, all of that? Like, where did that come from? And how do you feel like that kind of supports your mission?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the question. So I wanted this to be a free service because, these guys who are charging like outrageous costs just to meditate is, I find it kind of like not sustainable. And especially if, well, we all see the problem with it. We shouldn't be paying for meditation. But the cryptocurrency rewards model, I just saw how well it was working for Brave browser. And I thought, hey, this would be an amazing way for people who are interested in getting their feet wet in the crypto space to, try the practice of meditation. So that's kind of where those two came into play.
Would you mind speaking to the ads piece? Because that's the other piece that I was like, how does this fit into the puzzle? Right.
So we have to think like, we can't assume that a lot of people are like, we can't assume that most of the users are going to opt for the premium subscription. So if that's the case, then we need some sort of way to, be generating money, because we don't want to be in the whole like Insight Timers right now, just relying on institutional investment to keep afloat. So in order to like, we landed on the ads model, and for it to be as like least intrusive as possible, we give the users the option to select how many ads they want to view, and we try to remunerate them with Zen token for their time. So trying as ethically as possible to do ads. I know that's kind of an oxymoron, but
Great, thank you. Tiara.
Thank you. This was amazing, Connor. I liked how you had the stats on the front and the personal story. I think maybe going a little more into the personal story, if that's comfortable for you, would just bring it out a little bit more and create that that relatability maybe for some people, or for some people who aren't even familiar with experiencing anything like that in their world. They'd be able to understand it a little bit better. But I know that can be a touchy spot. But I was curious about the Q2 when you're thinking about adding yoga and Tai Chi. Will that be recorded as well, or will you add in like a live component for that?
What do you mean by recorded? Like a live instruction video?
Exactly. Will it be recorded, or will it be live, like in the moment, where you can follow along with the instructor?
I don't know. That's a good point, though. It could be either or.
Yeah. I like I've seen a lot that have them recorded, but for me, I like the live aspect and the, we're following along with someone as they're doing it. But I know that it's easier from a business standpoint probably to have them recorded. So, but even marking it up and having a premium for the live classes might be a good idea, but also having a recording option for people that want to stay in the free part of the app too.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks for chiming in.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Jesse, you have a question?
Yeah, so I actually have two, Connor. So nice to meet you. Like Sarah said, I went through your website, I read your white paper. Good little feature to have. So you can tackle these however you choose to. So one, and this is something I ask the companies always like yourself. I see that you're pushing for next quarter as your first platform is iOS app. But how come not starting web-based first? And second is that you're tying yourself to Zencoin, which is understandable. What is your contingency plan that any of these cryptocurrencies could always tank? Now you've built a brand around a base of a company and a strategy about a type of crypto. So have you have an alternative plan that you would have to pivot if you have to use a different platform?
Yeah, good questions. For your first question, we're building we're building our app in React Native, which is a web-based platform. So that's an easy conversion over to like a website once we're ready. And then, no, honestly, we don't have a backup plan if Zen token just hits the fan one day. In what scenario, like, are you mentioned, like, if the price of the coin tanks, or what are you referring to?
You have several scenarios, right? So crypto is a very fluid system right now. It could tank, it could disappear. We could have governments ban it. It's something to think about as an investor. So as you're looking to invest and build a platform, you gotta have the structure you're built on. So a contingency, just think of that as your team and discuss that. What do you do if you have to move away? Say Zenbase is a company that you don't believe in based with because of principles. There's a whole bunch of different scenarios. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. I just read this morning that India, we know China banned cryptos, but India joined the bandwagon as well. So there's definitely going to be some limit in the markets we can enter. But that's something to think about. Thanks for pointing that out.
Oh, good job, man. I look forward to seeing more.
Yeah, thank you. Trong, what's your question?
You're muted.
Hey, Trong, you're still muted.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Thank you for a great presentation. I just want to go over the mechanics of your business model. People can sign up to your program as a non-premium, and they can listen to the different sessions. And once they listen to it, they would receive some token, or you can contribute sounds materials, and you receive tokens. And then if you sign up at a premium subscription, you pay a fee, I guess, some monthly fee, and then you don't have to listen to the ads. Correct? Is that correct? And my second part is, does it cost you anything? How much does it cost you to sign on to Zen coin system?
Sure. So yes, if you have a premium subscription, you can opt out of ads completely. We give them the option just in case they want to listen to ads and get Zen token. But yeah, there's an option for that. And then it costs nothing to enroll in the reward system.
Do you pay anything to the cryptos system that you sign up for? You as a founder, yeah.
Yeah, so eventually when we are on the open exchange market as a legitimate crypto, we will have transaction fees. So that basically means when we send you your Zen token for listening to a sound, there will be like a fee to give you that Zen token. Since we're built on an existing blockchain platform called Polygon. But the benefit of using Polygon rather than like Ethereum and a big player like that is their transaction fees are like a fraction of a penny. So it's very sustainable.
I see.
Nice, good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stephanie, you have a question?
Hi there. So I'm sorry I was late to the presentation, but I did look through a bunch of what Zenbase has to offer online and sort of my experience and background. I can see that already you guys obviously have already prepared media going into the iOS actual app base. So you guys are launching in Christmas specifically to Android and iOS, which is great. I know that there's a lot of parameters and a lot of requirements in order for them to verify you to get there. So I assume that's probably what's happening now. I'm curious though, in the process of this, with many tech startups based on the website, there's about 17 people on your team currently. And I'm fascinated how that is going, because that's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, especially for a technological app so early on in the game. And I'm wondering, like, obviously you mentioned there was another founder, but I'm curious, like, in terms of equity, where are you in the process because of so many people in terms of capital? Because usually for an application like this to get to the next steps, I see social media team, I see a bunch of different experts as well. So in terms of like the equity, if you're even able to disclose that, if you're not, that's perfectly fine. But I'm curious what stage you are, because once it's launching, then you're going to be going into potentially, depending where you're at, to like a VC stage. If hopefully that would be the goal, I would assume, to get your user acquisition up. But yeah, I am curious.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking the deep dive and for your question. So me and my co-founder were 50-50, and there's like 3 other guys, higher ups, that each have like 1%. So pretty flexible in terms of like shares. We can give potential investors the first milestone would be to reach out to like angels rather than VCs first,
Right.
for us. And we're not going to be looking for investments anytime soon. We want to make sure our product is solid and we have traction and user growth, because we don't want to get taken advantage of, you know what I mean? So yeah, the reason why we have so many Zen employees is what I like to call them. I don't know, just as part of my job as like CEO, it's my responsibility to find like talent, the right talent that will help us accomplish our mission. And all these guys, like, I've seen potential in them, so that's why they're working with us. And they're scattered all across the country. They're student interns looking for something to put on their resume.
Yeah, it's nice. I agree with Katie. I like that Zen employees term. That's fun. Yeah, thank you, Stephanie, for your question. Erin.
Hi, Connor. Thanks so much for the presentation. This is so interesting. I think my favorite thing is like the idea of normal people creating meditation content, because I think you're exactly right. A lot of those apps are very flat and kind of formulaic, and it's pretty repetitive. So I think you could get some really interesting diversity in meditation approaches that way. I'm I'm curious about the cryptocurrency rewards thing. Just because I'm not terribly familiar, but I lurk on the Reddit cryptocurrency thread a lot. And I know like they recently started giving out moons to like reward people for content that generates a lot of comments, but that's like the only place I've seen crypto rewards. So I just, could you speak a little bit more about crypto rewards, maybe where else it's happening, or why it's better than like some other type of rewards approach?
Sure. Thank you for your energy and for your support. So for the crypto rewards, how it works is, so there's a caveat. You have to spend at least 5 minutes listening to a sound before the rewards are triggered, just so that we actually know like you're meditating and not just trying to finesse the system. So after your 5 minutes, you can spend however long. There's a 3-hour per day earning limit, because no one's going to be meditating and earning for more than 3 hours per day. So yeah, and you also have to keep the sound open. Just so those are the safeguards we have in place, so people don't take advantage of this great system we have. And then as soon as your session is over, you get the rewards into your app wallet, and that's where it'll be stored. And then later down the road, when we actually become a viable cryptocurrency, that will automatically have trading powers within the app. So you can convert it over to USDC coin, which is basically the US dollar. And then you can do whatever you want with it. I hope that
Got
answers
it.
the question.
The benefit is kind of in the convertibility down the road.
Right. Even before then, you can, if you so wish, you know, buy a yoga mat with it or like whatever you want, gift cards. But down the road, yeah, for cash.
Okay, interesting.
Great.
Thank you.
Nice. Katie, you had a question.
Yeah, I just such like there's just so many cool elements and aspects to everything you're doing. So just thank you for that, sharing all this. I'm interested to hear more about, so I feel like, you know, a lot of our questions have been kind of around your business model and around the crypto piece. And I was just really curious if you could speak more about like your users. How do you want them to find you? And like, what do you want to have them like be drawn in by?
Honestly, I just want this thing to go viral. Like the most successful things are just like spread via word of mouth. That's what we're trying to go for, you know, and just like organically, you know. Sorry, what was the second part to your question?
I guess maybe like, so I guess maybe one of my questions is really about like how will you know that people like love it, or like that it's making the difference that you're hoping for, right? That it's not just like this, you know, money maker for you and your co-founder, right? But that like it's having that impact on like all the things you were talking about before on like creativity and productivity. You know, have you thought about like how you're going to know if that's happening?
Well, we'll see change in the world 20 years from now, you know, if it actually does end up working, and that 400% more creative power is, you know, I don't know. It's just a long time effect. And if we'll see if meditation actually helps people by tracking in-app analytics, like user engagement, session time, stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what feedback you get from your customers and you know, the impact outside of just, you know, the numbers, as Katie said. Sarah, follow-up question.
Yeah, so a couple of questions back. I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. You were talking about how people earn the rewards, specifically the crypto rewards, and you're saying that if they have longer than 5 minutes of listening to the sounds, that's how the rewards start to build up. Is that correct?
Yes.
So my question is this: if I just wanted to get some rewards, what's stopping me just switching this on my phone and leaving it in another room and leaving it there for like 10 hours and then claiming whatever the reward is? Do you have any safeguards against that?
You could leave your phone in another room and just let it sit and play. There is a 3-hour earning limit.
Okay.
So that's, if you wanted to, for every single day, if you could go without using your phone for 3 hours and leave it in another room, power to you. That's great.
Yeah, well, I mentioned that because I'll be honest, that's exactly the sort of thing I would do. Like, believe it, trust me, I've done much worse things for much smaller rewards. So I would do it, I think. And you know, you don't have to be awake when your phone's on either. So I am raising this as something to seriously consider, because certainly from my experience of what I'm like in my own life and how ruthless I am to get the things I want, but also my experience of running my business and some of the scams people have tried to pull on me. And I mean, for things like $5 and stuff, like really, you know, I just would urge that you put in some strong safeguards against anyone abusing your system to claim rewards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sarah's the one that has the little motor that moves her phone, you know, so that it looks like you get the exercise and stuff. Yes.
No, just if I'm going to get free stuff.
Oh, okay, got it.
One thing
Trong, did you have a follow-up question?
Yes. I want to know, before the crypto become real, how do people, how do you fund the reward, that people can cash in before that turn into real money? Who gonna pay for that? How do you get the fund to have the supply to send to people for what they get?
So at first, there's no funds needed. It's, like, think of it like Clash of Clans gems, in-game currency. We can send it to people for free. And then over time, once it hits the market is then in charge of deciding the price based on how many people buy it. So
Yeah.
that's where the liquidity comes in.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I see.
And we're going to do one more question with Stephanie, and then we're going to move on from this. I love all the questions, so thank you. Stephanie,
Yeah.
what was your question?
So being part of other tech and listening to you, Connor, it reminds me of a lot of past my own experience and memories about all kinds of different things between founders and all that kind of fun stuff. But here's a fun question. What if an application like Calm decided to come and say, you know what, we want to buy you? Is that something that you and your founder have discussed? Like, if there was just someone who said, you know what, we love this idea, we're just gonna take this as part of our acquisition. Like, it's almost like an idea. What's the price on your head? Like, what's your, how much would it take to buy you?
Yeah, it would definitely have to be life-changing money, anything over like 10 to 15 mil. But we haven't really thought about that because we don't think that'll happen, because if they buy us or another company, they'd have to probably flip the script and change their whole business model. And I don't think they'd have the time or want to do that. You know what I mean?
Probably. The only thing I could see is maybe they would do at best is either you'd have someone smaller who would try to duplicate something if they had got their hands on it. Depending, again, you're in React, so there is a possibility. The second is whether or not they would add that as a separate additional feature that wouldn't necessarily be in their native application, but instead would be somewhere else in their overall assets. And that would be the concern. So it would be more of like, for example, obviously with different platforms acquiring other platforms, they may not change your model or change your application, but they might say, you know what, let's do something similar. Let's do something not quite the same, depending on what, parameters you do and deem that is your own actual aspect to it. Or is it better that essentially, hey, can we just buy it or can we remake it? So that would be the question, things to look out for. But again, it was more of a fun question as opposed to a dire question, but it is something to think about during this process, especially with tech startups, is how quick can you get there first?
For sure. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Well, a lot of great questions. Thank you, everybody. And we're going to, just a reminder, Connor, to remember to save the chat at the end, because I know there was a lot of different dialogue and questions and stuff going on in the chat. So make sure to capture that resource as well. And lastly, something that we always ask people that present, which I'll pop up, this question is, this question for you, Connor: what can 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Meditate.
Meditate. Nice. I like it. I think it does seem like a very cool thing, and we really appreciate your time running us through that. And we have Connor's information is in the chat as well, if people want to connect with him there. And we will have a recording of the presentation to review later, if you guys want to go through that. So
thank you guys so much.
Yeah, so now what we're going to do is we're going to, just like Connor did, if you guys have something to present, it doesn't have to be a fully operational business. It could be something that you're just launching. Really, you just want to be in a position where you're willing to get feedback and gain that practice. A lot of people that present actually at multiple 1 million cups, and every time it gets better, right? So And don't forget the plug for volunteers and organizers. If you are interested, please reach out. We'd love to have more people on our team. And this is in the chat, but don't forget to pull up our link tree so that you have all those links handy. And next week, we're going to have Homebrew Lab is going to be our presenter next Wednesday. So we look forward to everybody joining us with that. I'm going to stop sharing. And then now this is when we get to go into breakout rooms. So Tara, are we all set?
Yeah, just one. Let's see, options. Let's not have them close in 3 minutes. Perfect.
Yeah, so we'll have everybody. So we have breakout rooms available. If you want to join a breakout room, that little box pops up and you just click the blue join off to the right and you can hop into a different room and other people can join in. And then at some point you'll get a little warning once we break those out. Usually, like I said, our meeting officially ends at 10, but sometimes the breakout rooms go a few minutes after that. So, and thank you everybody for joining us.